this word is seems to be right on the money. It's the word mind, M-I-N-D. And I got on this word two ways. Many of you probably watched the Masters, and when Jordan Spieth had whatever you want to call it, his meltdown, or the time that he fell apart or lost the Masters there at Amen Corner, they talked to him, and then all the commentary afterwards. And it all had to do, in one aspect, with his mind. What was he thinking? And I'll elaborate a little more on that as we go through. The other thing is, I'm sure you've seen that AT&T commercial where they got that little box that's talking to everybody, and it's kind of an artificial intelligence. It's a new kind of mind that seems to they're propagating that is maybe greater than our mind. And so I got to thinking about that, plus some other things. So 3 things about the mind. The definition, what is it? Really the defining truth of this word mind. Where is it? What is it? Where is it? 3, why do we have it? What's it for? Definition. This is a word that, interestingly enough, the definition is very vague. One definition says the mind is the element, the part, the substance or the process that reasons or thinks. Another definition is a set of cognitive facilities that enables consciousness. Another definition is this. Here's the most, I think, elaborate one. The mind is that which is able to have subjective awareness. In other words, you are aware. That's when we start talking about people losing their mind. If you go to the nursing home and people that have Alzheimer's and those kinds of things, they seem to have lost their subjective awareness. Also, the mind is that which enables us to be intentional toward our environment, to perceive and respond to stimuli, and to have consciousness, including thinking and feeling. So, that's a definition. You'll notice that definition has nothing to do with your brain. It doesn't say anything about the brain. It doesn't say the mind is in the brain or this lobe or this. And so that leads to the second thing that I think is the defining truth about the mind, and that is the fact that your mind is not your brain. Your mind, in one sense, is in your brain, but in another sense, it's not. Think about this. Proverbs says, as a man thinketh, where? In his brain? No. In his heart. So is he. The Jews always believed that your mind was more in what they called your gut, or your bowels, or your innermost being, than it was up here in your head. Where is it? Now think about this. In some of the ways that we use particular statements, when you say your mind has wandered, roamed, well, we're not talking about the brain. We used to have a guy named Benny Smith. He was a tight end. He came off the field one day and he said to Coach Chappell, he said, "Coach, my brain is moving in there." You know, he took a big hit. But your mind, where is it? Have you lost your mind? We talk about mind over matter. Well, the brain is matter. The mind can be over matter. We talk about a mindset. We talk about losing our mind. The old songs, I can't get my mind off of you. I'm going out of my mind over you. Where is our mind? Mind your own business. Do you mind? The way we use it tells us that our mind, the location of your mind, is important. You ever heard somebody say, that guy got in your head? He got in your mind. Well, he can't get physically in here. So where is the mind? I think it's a good thought. Now, we have all said, and I won't get explicit, but we have all said about teenagers, they think with the wrong whatever. Well, what we're talking about is not so much a body part, but they're thinking out of their emotions, their desires. Where is our mind? Where is it located? We talk about our mind racing. Our mind seems to, we talk about being rattled. Talk about, again, your mind wanders or roams. You know, when you're somewhere and your telephone, you have to get on that roaming thing, then it's an extra charge. When your mind roams, sometimes you pay a price, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've noticed that, Ray. You missed it by 10 years. You know, your mind can fail you. And I think one of the main ways that your mind fails you is that it favors you. If you listen to the interviews about Jordan Spieth, he admits that his own mind, he thought that he could get closer to that pin on 12, and so his mind pretty much said, all right, hit it a little bit that way. Well, his mind failed him because somehow his mind convinced him that he could do that. Where's our mind? We know more by what we say about it than what the definition is. Now, here's the key point. Why do we have it? What's it for? That's why you got to locate it. You got to know where it is. And as we describe, it's not where we think it is. You are not your mind. That's why if you say, man, I'm losing my mind, or my mind is racing, that's not a physical thing. That's not you. Your mind is that aspect of us that really comes from deep within. Now here's the key. When you think about that a little bit, then where your mind is, where you think it is, what you think it is, you come to a point where that determines, let me see how I want to say this, that determines what changes your mind or influences your mind. In other words, if your mind, if you think you know where it is, then in the world, if the world defines it, if you think that you're totally aware of where it is, then what do we do with the mind? We educate it, we influence it, we measure it, we try to protect it. But what happens when we come to Christianity? And I know maybe this is, you say, where are you going with this? Or it hadn't hit yet. Well, hopefully it will hit here. Christianity is all about realizing that your mind is so deep within that your only hope is that you have a mind replacement. You can't change your mind. Work with people. What does the world need? We need a mind replacement. Has your mind been replaced? Has that which thinks in your heart, that which guides you, that which determines where you are, and that which determines whether you succeed or you fail? Read Genesis 6. The mind that you were born with. Not the brain, but that which reasons and thinks. That which processes. It's damaged. It cannot be fixed. You cannot really improve it or change it. So Christianity says the gospel is this. When God comes to you and He gives you a mind replacement, let this mind be where? In you, which was also in Christ Jesus. We have the mind of Christ. Think about what the Scripture says. We need a mind that can be renewed. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Set your mind on things above, not on the things of this world. Get this one. Love God with all your heart, soul, strength, and what? Mind. You love God with your mind. Your mind is governed. Romans 6 says, if your mind is governed by the flesh, it's death. But if you are spiritually minded, then you have life and you have peace. You see, our performance in life, our not choking in the clutch, our not quitting when it gets hard, that comes from our mind. We need the mind of Christ. Have you had a mind replacement? Are you still trying to find your mind? The whole world's trying to find the mind. Find the switch that you can turn that makes a difference. Many of us have sought education and higher education. What are we trying to do? We're trying to improve the mind. The world believes if people's minds were more informed, then the degradation of the world would be less. What's happened? It's just the opposite. You can't educate the mind because you can't get to it. It's deeper than we think. Your mind's got to be replaced. And I tell you the thing about Christianity, Ricky and I have talked about this. When you come to Christ and He gives you His mind, you're governed by what governed Him. You love what He loved. You treat people the way He treated people. If you replenish that, if that's renewed by the Word, if that somehow grows and grows and grows, you can never get rid of that. Let me leave you with this. Can you think, buddy, the way you used to think? You can't, can you? You can wander back a little bit, but you can't do it. Why? Because you've had a mind replacement. You have His mind in you. That's so important. So important. And so I know my human mind is kind of rambled and roamed. I think my mind's, I'm like Benny Smith today, Ray. My mind seems like it's going, but I know this. There is a solid mind, Nobby. There's a mind that we need. Do you have the mind of Christ? You have Christ in you. And therefore, you're heavenly minded. Why? Because you're Christ minded. He's in you. Let this mind be in us. Let's be men who have the mind of Christ. Think on the things that are above, not of this world. You see, the only way you can get over failure, they're talking about Jordan's beef, and they're talking about the effect. How do you forget? How do you move on? That natural mind that we have taunts us and haunts us and beats us down and tells us that we're no good. But if you have His mind, we can continue on. There is true intelligence. There is high intelligence. His thoughts are not our thoughts. Why? His mind. When you come to Christ, you're going to have some thoughts that aren't yours. You're going to do things with your money that you would have never done. You're going to forgive people you would never forgive. You're going to start living so much higher than you ever lived. Why? Because you're operating out of a different mind. You have a different mindset. Isaiah 1:18, God says this, "Come, let us feel together." That's not what He said. He didn't say, "Come and let us have the same experience." You know what He said? "Come, let us reason together." We come to Christ through this thing called the mind. We love God with our minds. Let's pray. Lord, thank you. Lord, it's a vague thing to me. But Lord, I know that we need your mind, and we have your mind. We have that which enables us to process and enables us to see rightly and enables us to function in a whole different manner. Thank you, Lord, that in that mind of Christ, you've given us a concern for people that are in trouble, for people that are sick and afflicted, for people that are sad because they've lost loved ones. You've given us a mind that is not centered on ourselves, but on you and on others. Lord, if anybody in here has not had a mind replacement, not a mind improvement, but a mind replacement, oh Spirit of God, give them the mind of Jesus. In His name, amen.